righty. Off you go.
Thank you. So today I presented this, prepared this PowerPoint, an intro to food product development lab at Montana State University.
Whoop, you muted yourself when you went.
Oh, good.
There
Okay.
you go.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So I thought I was going to ask everybody to introduce yourself, but you already did that. So that's great. And I saw that actually there's some old faces that I already knew. There was also new faces. Hi, John, and hi, Michael. And of course, Taylor. So a lot of you guys are actually experts in the food system in the Food and Agriculture Economic Development Center. So I actually already got a lot of help and insight from you. So very honored to share what I have been doing since I arrived in 2017 fall semester. And for the new faces, great to meet you. And I hope that today's presentation can give you some fun, interesting ideas. And so we already did the introduction, then let's get right into about our lab. We have a lab website, so feel free to just Google Montana State University Food Product Development Lab. I'm also happy to share with you the link. And we also have LinkedIn. We also have Instagram and Facebook.
I just posted it in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. So today I will share with you what we do in terms of research, education, and outreach. And part of the outreach is via the testing service agreement, so that we help the local food company or growers or interest groups to do some product improvement or product development research. And I'll also share who we are, me, myself, and some staff and students. I will also show you some pictures of the lab research R&D space, including the sensory and product development space, and the chemistry space and extrusion space. So if you're wondering what is extrusion, I always tell my students, just imagine you have a gigantic Play-Doh that you feed the clay instead of the clay. You feed in corn or rice or beans, so you create pasta or Cheetos or breakfast cereals. So we already did this. Welcome again, everyone. And if you would like to share with me at any point, you can just interrupt me, or you can type in the chat box about what particularly interests you to join today's virtual tour. So I can, if Paul, you can help me moderate and see any people type in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and talk. Let me know if there's particularly any part of my presentation that you want to know, or you already have a question. Feel free to let me know by typing or unmute yourself. Do we already have anyone that wanted to share, particularly why you want to hear more about our lab? Or I can wait until later. Okay, so what are we doing in our food product development lab? Here's the slogan of my lab that I want all my students to remember, and I also wish myself to really realize this. We want to approach food product development by a sustainability-driven goal. So sustainable food product development is our goal, by which we mean that we want to develop food products that are healthy for both humans and the earth. We want to remodel the current system, the current food industry of value-added and food product development that is primarily profit-driven. We want to change that into sustainability-driven. We want the products to be not only profiting the local economy, but also profiting the health of ourselves and also the health of the earth. Because we want to do that, so choosing what product we work on, what crops, and who we work with and what project we develop is very important. We have three major programs. The first one, we focus on Montana specialty crops, for example, lentils, chickpeas, and dry peas, and some other legumes. We also partner with MSU Culinary Services. They have a farm to campus program that strives to bring more local foods into campus. And last but not least, we have focus. The newest development of our program is indigenous food. We partner with indigenous communities, including the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes and the smallholder women farmers in Kaffrine region of Senegal to look at what we can do as a food scientist to support their indigenous food sovereignty initiative. So specialty crops. We said that our goal is sustainable product development, developing product for healthy for both humans and the earth. So there's a lot of specialty crops that already fit in this criteria. For example, pulses, they require less water. They don't require a lot of artificial nitrogen, and they can fix nitrogen into they can fix carbon into the soil, and they have longer storage life. So it is definitely a more sustainable crops. For human being. It also is much higher in fat, protein, fiber, and good fats, also minerals, antioxidants. So we like pulses, we want to promote pulse. In addition to pulses, Montana also grows more and more hemps, and we have gotten some more interest from the stakeholders from the industry asking us, can you do something for my hemps? I want to add value to it, make it into a consumer-ready product. In addition, we collaborate with Western Agriculture Research Center in the Bitterroot Valley that they are trying to domesticate and commercialize some cold hardy fruits and berries, such as anybody, Taylor, don't say it, but anybody know what this fruit is? Do we have any guess? Someone, I think. Saskatoon, you're close. You know that these are those affiliated berries. So this one is haskap. It has kind of an elongated, funny, funky shape, almost like a fat finger that my consumers, when they did the sensory study, they told me, oh, it looks like a baby fat finger. So haskap is an example, is a cold hardy berry that can grow in cold climates such as Montana. Blueberries or raspberries, these conventional food crops, they don't grow well in this cold climate. So Western Agriculture Research Center is trying to domesticate it, find the best variety, find the best way of growing and harvesting so that our Montana fruit growers can adapt to these new fruit crops and increase the value of their farm production. And what we do is we collect these fresh fruits. We do consumer sensory study, asking them how much they like the flavor, the texture, the appearance, the aftertaste, everything. And based on our statistics, to map it with the consumer demographic to really navigate into, oh, who are the consumers that are interested? How much are they willing to pay? So to propose a marketing plan that we can sell it at which price, at where, to who. So like I said, the first program in our specialty crops, we focus on pulses like lentils, chickpeas, and dry peas. We were requested, we got contacted by the pulse stakeholders that they said, although Montana is the nation's top producer of pulses, the average sale price of Montana pulses is somehow much lower than the average sale price of Washington pulses like lentils. Palouse grain is one example that their product is being perceived as a better quality than Montana. So they ask us, is that true? Do you have any data? And I said, I don't know if anybody's doing any data in terms of the culinary quality, how these pulses soak, how they cook, and how they taste, and how they perform when you add them into baked products, also the nutritional quality. So there's really lack of data to prove that. So we want to be the data builder to do sense and culinary nutrition study to build the foundation, build the database to prove that Montana pulses are as good quality as other states, so that to build the confidence of international buyers to buy our pulses. Otherwise, it's currently not perceived as premium as some pulses from other states. It's very weird bias there. We also want to explore the extrusion product development potential of pulses. For example, making lentil pasta. making breakfast cereals, making puff snacks using pulses because, like I said, they're high in protein, high in fiber. So when you make them into staple foods or snacks, that can help make the product healthier and improve the dietary health.
Do you think the price issue is it really that data, or is it transportation related?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
transportation. Because are you saying that because it's harder to ship
Yeah,
Montana
that they don't pay as much for Montana lentils and
Oh, that's a
peas
good point.
because it's far away versus, is it really protein percentage, or is
Right.
it really this other
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, I only knew that in terms of protein, it depends on year and region. And sometimes they have like limited regional data. They just sample a little bit of protein content and seem to be better, seem to be worse. So there really is no statewide data. And we're going to collect different regions like North, Central, East, Southwest to see and compare the same variety with the other region, like from central part of Washington. But I can ask the person that we partner with because they are the pulse supplier group that they are supplying, they're gathering pulses from different regions in Montana and also from North Dakota and see if transportation. So that's a good point. The European buyers that they encounter with basically told them that, oh, we don't like Montana pulses. They don't soak and they don't taste as good. So they asked, do you have any way to do the sensory testing and make it scientific data to prove that consumers cannot tell the difference between Montana or Washington pulses? Right, it's very interesting. And the other focus that we have is the cold hardy fruits, like I mentioned a little bit. So in addition to testing the fresh market potential by providing the fruit to our consumers, we already did one summer study. We partnered with the Western Montana Growers Co-op. We ship all those little boxes of fruit to them, and they're so amazed by how interesting they look, how pretty the colors are. And then they conduct online sensory study by tasting and then feel out how much they like the flavor and texture. In addition to the fresh market, we also want to explore value-added market. We actually are also collaborating with Mission Mountain Food Enterprise Center. Taylor is here, that they are kind enough to let my student to learn from them in the summer, potentially do internship with them using the pilot scale processing to look at if we can make these fresh fruits into value-added products such as fresh juice or freeze-dried juice powder mix. So that's also part of the feedback from the consumers. They told us that, well, these fruits are fun, but if it's only available for a few months in summer, it's not as that accessible. So in our focus group, they told us that they want to have more and more longer accessibility instead of just seasonal. They want year round. They ask, can you make them into baking ingredients? So I really love the color. I want to see it be baked into my Christmas pie. So some preservation or drying is what we're trying to explore to expand the market of fresh fruit, these cold hardy fresh fruits. The last one is the most newest one. So Ravalli County Ag and Economic Development Center. John is here. We've just recently finished one small consumer study looking at the market potential for hemp flower infused safflower oil. And people are very intrigued by it. Definitely not a wide, commonly acceptable because it's kind of a niche product. So we need to navigate, again, who in what demographics are the people that are interested in these kind of a niche product. We also got contacted by stakeholders that are in the hemp industry that they want to explore a way to develop made in Montana extruded hemp snacks. So that's in our to-do next step. So that is our first program, specialty crop value-added research. Our second program is Farm to Campus. We partner with MSU Culinary Services. So far, we have 2 successful examples. Basically, the culinary services, they want to increase the amount of local foods as much as possible. They already increased it in 25%. 25% of food offered on campus is from Montana, but they want to increase and maintain it. So they run into the trouble that some small food companies, it's harder for them to have consistent quality or have the quality that really meets the demand of the student dining hall setting. For example, the pancake you're seeing here is from Cream of the West. And it would have been great if you just make it at home and eat it immediately. But the chefs at the culinary service told us that after you let it sit for over 15 minutes, which is usually what happened on the steam table in the dining hall, then it started getting drained out. So students won't take them and they just end up all in the trash. So they ask us if there's a way we can make it more moist and fluffy and fine, and creamier texture. So we have undergraduate student from chemical engineering working on the engineering redesign of the processes and finally improve the kind of a chewy, dense texture into what you can see here in the bottom picture of fluffy, moist. And we did a 120 people consumer formal study that without knowing which one is which, they rate this improved variety as great as the national brand Krusteaz. So that gave us the confidence that the product is really improved so that the 7-grain flapjack pancake mix is as competitive, is as welcomed in the culinary service and dining hall. Another example, we work with gluten-free Prairie. It's a gluten-free product that is being served in the campus dining hall, but it's very crumbly. So we try to work with the recipe to reformulate it to make it more stable so that it doesn't get really powdery in this box when students try to scoop it out. So the third program that we do is Indigenous Foods. So far, we have partnered with the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes and also with the Senegal smallholder women farmers in the Kaffrine region. Kaffrine is the central southeast location that is further inland and is drier. They grow a lot of peanuts. So we try to use our food science knowledge to support the indigenous food sovereignty by integrating our Western science knowledge with the traditional wisdom and indigenous philosophy. So in the CSKT Flathead Reservation example, we partner with their tribal fishery, native fish keepers. The tribal fishery try to harvest as much as possible the invasive lake trout from Flathead Lake because it's invasive and it's really breaking the ecosystem and really reducing the number of their bull trout. That's their sacred fish. So they harvest the fish out, they fast freeze it and sell frozen fillet regionally. So you can buy it from Co-op in Bozeman. We have the students work on the frozen fillet and make it into a smoked trout. And here's a picture of they use the tribal philosophy because the student visit the tribal members and ask them their food memories and culinary traditions. One food memory and story we learned is that when they were little kiddos, they enjoy eating those biting off from the fish tail, kind of crispy fish skin when the family is having a smoking day and everybody's smoking fish. And when parents were not watching, they just like nip off the crispy fish skin. So we also integrate the concept of save everything without making food waste. So they replace the corn tortilla or wheat tortilla by using the fish skin so you can see the skin texture and to make the smoked fish taco. That was our class project in 2019. So starting next spring, we will partner with Salish Kootenai College Business Program in developing a bison dry meat product and try to use the talent of their business students to market it. And we also want to partner with tribal schools. So we already submit one Western Series proposal, is pending review. Hopefully we can use the ranch from the tribal ranch to get the bison and make it into a traditional dry bison dry meat. They want the dry meat because it's very culturally significant, but it's really hard to prepare and takes a lot of time. So if someone can make it and it's preferably made by the tribal entities, that would be great. And if we can someone to use that to provide a tribal schools, that's even better because they were telling us that the tribal school meals were not particularly nutritional. Another project we were is working with the Senegal smallholder women farmers. They are very hard worker. They are very entrepreneurial. However, they lack the food science knowledge to make food safe and nutritious. and also stable. So we collaborate with them and develop this indigenous children's nutrition bar by incorporating wild fruit. You can see a little here that it's the baobab tree. It's a wild tree that is grown in West Africa that has not been able to domesticate. So if you want to harvest the baobab fruit, you got to preserve the wild land. You cannot just domesticate it because it doesn't grow on domesticated land. So we include that baobab fruit as a good nutrition, good source of vitamin C and fiber and folic acid into this children's nutrition bar. And we did sensory testing. Senegal children love it. They want to keep the product. So we found there's a potential. And the bonbon name is given by the women. Its name, bonbon is French, means sweet delight, and bui is the local Wolof language for the baobab tree, baobab fruit. We have continued this project by collaborating with the local Senegal school so that the children not only will receive the good nutrition from the product, they will also learn about what is it all about indigenous food? Why do we have to care about indigenous food? And what can we do? Oh, we can have our own indigenous food enterprise. So I'm going to pause a little bit here if anybody has any comments or questions before I move on.
Maybe you're covering it later, but I'm really curious about what things you've commercialized. You've touched on it a little bit, especially with the some of the pulse crops, or there's other things that have gone to the point where maybe you've got the product and it's someone taking it the next level and commercializing it. Maybe you're talking about that later, but love to hear some more detail on.
I think this is a good timing to talk about that. So in terms, let me go back. So for the pulse crops, we have right now, that one is not particularly on product development. It's more about the culinary nutrition quality. So we just prove the database, provide a database so that they can use that to enhance the value of their pulse seeds. We have not collaborated with anyone. So the next specialty crops collaboration that can lead to commercialization will start next spring when the extrusion program is on the ground start running. We are right now working with a Montana food company that they want us to work on one kind of specialty crops that they want to commercialize it. So, and then in terms of the cold hardy berries, there hasn't been a company that commercialized because the project, again, is also starting in spring. The one that is closest to commercialization are these two products. They're already commercialized. They're just needing some more quality improvement. So after we improve the product, they both told us that the quality is improved. And in the case of gluten-free prairie, they also see an increase in sale. So we were really happy with that. And the commercialization idea in the CSKT is that if we are able to work more with the SKC business students, hopefully one of them will take the idea and then bring them into enterprise. So in the bumblebee case, we're actually in the MSU Giving Day this year because we want to raise funds for the women. They are very eager to make this product. But the challenge is that they don't have oven. They don't own oven. And it's kind of an interesting social dynamic in their community that ovens are owned by men. And then the men are not very good keeper of the oven maintenance. So sometimes it just broke down. So women don't have consistent access to oven. So we are raising money for the women to have their own oven so that they can start baking these nutrition bar and commercialize it. So I'm going to continue on the people. I mean, the next part is pretty straightforward, who we are and where we work at. So me, I'm the director of this lab. I own Bachelor and Master of Science degree in agricultural chemistry from National Taiwan University. I got my PhD from University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. In the Department of Food Science and Human Nutrition. Right now, I'm an assistant professor in the programs of graduate sustainable food systems and also undergraduate food enterprise under the hospitality management program. And I am hired by the Department of Health and Human Development. We also have one postdoctoral researcher. Her expertise is wine and flavor chemistry. So we hope that she can help contribute to the berry fruit product development and eventually have some very interesting wine product developed. We have one lab project manager, Erin Foles. She has mastery in human nutrition. She just joined us and she is in charge of leading the connection networking and marketing aspect of our various projects and support the logistics. So we have a lab of approximately 15 students, I think. Like every different month, there is an undergrad that asks, can I join your lab? So sometimes I lost count of how many is really in my lab. So at least I knew how to count graduate students. We have 2 doctoral students. They're both in the MSU's individual interdisciplinary program. One is Edwin Allen, is this Ghanaian student here. And he is integrating statistics, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, and sustainable food system and food science into his interdisciplinary program. And he's the major leader of the Pulse Extrusion Project. We also have Chef Kayan Miller, who is the executive sous chef. She's over here. Of Miller Dining Hall, and she's pursuing her individual interdisciplinary program on how health intervention, culinary education of traditional native foods can improve the mental and physical health of tribal youth. We have 3 master students. They're all in sustainable food system program. Two of them will work with the Salish Kootenai tribes, and one of them will work on the berry project. And I have about approximately 10 undergraduate students. They span across different majors: nutrition, dietetics, sustainable food system, biology, and chemical engineering. What my student told me they like about this lab is that they get to hang out with students from all different programs. That's kind of fun, and they hear things that they usually don't hear from their own friends in their same program. They hear different perspectives from different academic training. Okay, so I'm going to move to the lab portion, and the next few slides are basically a lot of pictures showing the different angles of our research facility. So we have 3 major research space. When it comes to sensory testing and food product development, we base on the Henan kitchen to do our research. So our sensory and R&D space is in our Henan teaching and research kitchen. And this teaching is adjacent to a space that we can put our portable sensory booths. We also have a small space that we use it as sensory prep areas. You'll see the picture later. So the kitchen itself, it comes with the walk-in cold room and freezer. It has a walk-in pantry. It also has reach-in cold room and freezer, and some very basic but very upgraded kitchen amenities, such as convection ovens, grill tops, griddle, smoker. That's where we make our smoked lake trout. There's fryer, water bath, and bread prover. So a bit more interesting analytical equipment includes texture analyzer. It measures the texture of food products, because you cannot always only rely on human sensory, because people's emotion change every day. You ask him if he likes his texture and he said great, and tomorrow he said it's awful. So we also rely on an instrument. Texture analyzer is essentially a machine arm that either crush or bite or poke or pull or shear the food products and measure the force that it is required in order to do all those different kind of deformation. And so here's a picture showing, I think it looks like a graham cracker. You can see that it's kind of a knife blade and just crush through so that you can measure the force that is required. And you can use that to calculate the crunchiness, the crispiness, the hardness, the firmness, etc. We also have moisture analyzer and freeze dryer. And freeze dryer is the one we will be using for our fruit product development. So outside of the Hannon kitchen, so Hannon is a dorm. If you know about the history of Montana State University, Hannon Hall is a dorm, and it used to have a student dining hall in Hannon, but then we converted into the culinary arts / hospitality management program. So you're looking at the left picture is where the old dining hall, but we converted into a classroom / sensory testing area. And this is primarily where we host our 120 people sensory test. Although after March this year, we have converted pretty much everything to online. So we use a whole lot more at-home sensory tests right now. We found it's actually interesting. People, when they are at home, they are a lot more engaged. They keep getting you, like using this centralized location sensory testing, you only get 30 minutes of their time. They only spend those 30 minutes to give you data. But at home, they keep sending you email about, oh, I found something about your berry. I asked my neighbor to try it for me, and they said, so we're actually getting more data when we do at-home sensory tests, which is pretty fun. So before you walk into the Hannon kitchen, you can see this is the upgraded countertop area where the culinary art program students, they showcase their product. From time to time, they practice their skills and then showcase the product, invite people to come and have a buffet. And that's also sometimes when we prep our sensory samples. So when you walk right into the kitchen, you'll see this spacious area that has the countertop and the convection oven, the griddles, the fryers. In the back, you see the white door. It leads to the walk-in cold room. And further toward this, past this door downstairs, that's where we'll have our walk-in freezer. And on the left, that's the office of Chef Bill Baskin, who is the director of culinary art program. And he is the person making sure that this space is neat and nice and very well managed. So great job on him. So some other angles of this teaching and research kitchen, you'll see the hood that is completely renovated from the old dining kitchen. And also here, it leads to, at the end, a door that leads to the walk-in pantry. A little bit on the right-hand side, we didn't include in that picture, are the countertop made by wood, and that's the pastry station. So on the left-hand side of the kitchen is a standalone dishwashing room, dish room, and it comes with the commercial dishwasher and also the dishwashing station and 3 compartment sink. Our students are required to pass the ServSafe training when they lead the sensory testing to make sure that they're complying with all these safety procedures for serving foods. So on the left picture is the walk-in pantry, and you see that my student Edwin in the, behind the a lot of foods is working on this machine. It's a freeze dryer. On the right is our walk-in cold room. I wish our tour today was in person, because a lot of times when we tour the locate area in person, when culinary art or our own students are making foods, we get to sample the whatever food that they are tasting, which is pretty fun. So this is the lab space that my graduate students and undergrad students hang around. And also we have a supply of sensory testing materials. And on the bench, you can see that texture analyzer. And also we have the moisture analyzer there. So that is our sensory and food product development recipe testing R&D area. Primarily, it's the Hannon kitchen that we co-manage with the culinary art program. We also use the chemistry lab space that is owned by the nutrition research lab of Dr. Mary Miles, and she is very kind to let my student use her space, because our research lab is strictly food grade, but we also need to do some chemical testing. So when we do some non-food grade chemical testing, we use her lab space. There we do the in vitro simulated gastrointestinal digestion. So we have beakers, we have enzymes, and we add our food product. So we try to simulate the entire stomach movement and intestine movement, so that we can measure the glycemic properties. We have already done glycemic measurement for our lentil crackers. We also did some glycemic measurement of the huckleberry gold potatoes. And later we're going to measure the protein digestibility, also glycemic properties of our extruded products made by specialty crops. And we also partner with an existing private company, to help them develop special protein product. And so we measure the protein technical functionality to know that how does this specialized protein, how does it form, how does it emulsify, based on those, we can project, will it become a good emulsifier for salad dressing, or is it more for milk foaming, coffee foaming, and its solubility, can you make it into the frozen beverage without having precipitation? And in that space, we commonly use UV viscospectrophotometer for measuring some chemical compound. They also have 96 well plate reader and some very basic lab equipment. So that's our chemistry lab space. We are right now renovating our extrusion lab. After I arrived at MSU in 2017, I applied for a grant and then purchased this extruder that is a pilot/production scale. It is a Buehler brand, BSTK30 food twin screwed extruder. Its production capacity is between 20 to 200 pounds per hour. So it's pretty small compared to the actual extrusion line in the corporate, which is sometimes 5,000 pounds per hour. But this small capacity can allow us to do some more R&D work. So
what kind of things would an extruder be used for?
Yeah, good question.
Products.
So like I said, if you imagine a gigantic Play-Doh, so it's how it make and mix and cook and extrude, shear the product. So breakfast cereals like Cheerios, and the puff snacks like Cheetos or the cheese puffs or graham crackers, and even the texturized vegetable protein, because it has both, let me showcase it here. So when you open that extruder, actually it comes with the screw element. So when you feed the product through this very narrow channel of screw continuously rotating, it forces the product to break and homogenize and mix really well and form a dough. And depending on the screw speed and feed rate, you can control, and also depending on temperature you apply, you can control whether you want to increase the pressure in the chamber. And by the time that it reaches the end, so you feed the product, and you can feed two different products at the same time in a very short amount of time. Usually in this kind of small extruder of a 200 pounds per hour of production, it's only several minutes, if not several seconds, that you can create form-shaped product as you wish, like pasta. But if you increase the pressure to, at the end, finally release it without cooling, you puff it to make the Cheetos or the Cheerios. So here are some examples: breakfast cereals, imitation meat, and even nutritional supplement, because you're trying to mix it really well so that it kind of got entangled and embedded in the entire food matrices. So you can use that for microencapsulation. So the reason we chose to offer extrusion services is because I knew that extruder is highly versatile. Just by one piece of machine, you can make a variety of products that can serve different value-added interests of different stakeholders. So that is our goal. After next spring, we want to offer our extrusion service for people that are interested in developing their own products. So this is the top view of how the extruder looks like. It is the real ratio of how big the extruder is compared to a person. So you will have the ladder from the side view. You can see that to climb upstairs and feed the extruder with the grains or seeds, and also the side view. So this location is in Harrison Hall. Their renovation just started and expected to finish next March, which is when we will start test run the extruder. It's extruder already shipped. We just need to wait for the renovation and have it installed next spring. So
Do you already have clients lined up that want to use it? Like
yeah,
business
I have,
clients?
right. I have two right now communicating with me that we're in the process of preparing the testing service agreement. And the third one want to start immediately. And I told him we haven't, I'm not ready yet. They said, no, that's too much time of waiting. So
Oh, I'm getting to this. So does that, I'll let other people speak. Does a product service agreement have any conflicts with, I know like MSU sometimes has patent ownership and stuff like that, or can you do something for a private company that they now own?
yes. So with that testing service agreement, it states really clearly, and then it also comes with a non-disclosure agreement stating that we're providing services in the way that we train our students. So who is the beneficiary on our end? Is the student. So they get industry experience by partnering with companies and developing products for them. So in that case, the company pay us, we don't retain the intellectual property. The company took the intellectual property away. So which is the current case, the specialized protein company that we're doing the testing service agreement for them. At the end of the research, the entire data set, it belonged to them. We generate the data, but we're not allowed to publish or make it into a patent at all. Yeah, but if you have some other kind of agreement that you said is research collaboration with a company that they are willing to let us publish, and therefore they are reducing the amount of money that they need to pay us because we are already sponsored by the grant that we wrote, and they're providing their expertise and part of the materials, then in that case, we can negotiate which part can we publish, which part can we not publish. So the other extreme is we have worked with some companies that they're super open, which is very rare case that they just said, you can publish anything, I don't care. So, but I think most of the time we want to make sure the company is protected. So using the testing service agreement and the non-disclosure agreement is the way that we make sure the protection is done.
All right. Thank you so much. That was very thorough and really, really interesting. I'd love to hear questions from others. If you want to unmute yourself, if you have particular things you want to know more about.
This is Kate, and I just want to say that was amazing. Thank you so much for walking us through there. I think it was enough information that I'm still absorbing and trying to form a question that is powerful and makes sense. One question I have just to start is, do you have any students that are sort of in the pipeline who want to use the extruder or other equipment? And at what point do they need to wean themselves from you and the university and go off into the real world and get their own equipment or find another launch space to do their work?
That's a great question. So in real examples, when I was a grad student, you want to train a student at least 2 years. 2 years probably not enough. Usually a PhD student that have 3 or even 5 years of extrusion product development and manufacturing training, we will say, okay, they're more prepared to get into the industry and really become an extrusion engineer, extrusion product developer, or manufacturer. So currently I have that one first-year PhD student, Edwin Allen from Ghana. He has done an exceptional job in the product development research in that Boom Boom brewery. He was the one who created this entire project. So after his master's study, he is going to start, he already started this semester, and once the extrusion lab is renovated next spring, he will start doing the extrusion research in his second and third years. And before this, he already interned in Bozeman Fish Technology Center. They have the same manufacturer, the same extruder, a slightly bigger size from the same manufacturer, because I knew that we want him to get well trained on using the extruder. So he interned how to make fish feed extrusion product. And we are also sending him to various workshops to be exposed to how the other extrusion program operate, how the other extruder operate. Every extruder is a little bit different. Some are single screw, and some are dedicated for pasta making, and some come with the steam to cook the protein to make the imitation meat. So all with different function of different extruder. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure.
It was a great answer. Probably the answer is that it depends on the student and the size of the project, how they would transition from your lab and testing and creation into the real world or a business, is I suspect what the answer is. And I don't know if Paul has a follow-up that might be more articulate given the facility you're considering.
Oh, I don't. I was just, no, I don't have a follow-up. I have a different question, but I'd like to hear from others if other people have comments or questions.
This is Ole here. I do have a question. Let's see if I can formulate it correctly. One, you talked about the lentils, and you talked about different regions of Montana to look at different qualities of lentils. When you collect those samples from those regions, are they combined into one sample, or are you actually able to individually look at individual farms and see if there's actually difference in the quality from each farm for farming practices, with the aspects of if one farmer does a certain way, it has a certain quality, another farmer does it another way, it has a different kind of quality in the lentils within the same region for the aspects of improving farming practices.
That's a very good point. When we discuss with our partner who source various lentil varieties from various Montana farms, they told us that they have a way to work directly with individual farmers. So at least it's that one variety of lentil comes from that one farmer from their one farm in the same 1 year or season. That's the most that we can control. And then they also remind us, like you said, how they store, how they harvest, how they store, how they transport and preliminary process their lentils all can affect. So they did suggest us whenever we collect from any farmer, we collect as many parameters as possible. How did they harvest it? What's the machinery? And how did they store it? How long have they stored it for this batch, etc. And that's the part that as a food scientist, we are always teased by the plant scientists that we don't know anything before we open the back of the flower. So from growing until harvesting, until post-harvest processing, until bagging, those are the parts that those are the reason that we partner with the pulse breeding program. The director, Kevin McPhee, is the committee member of this PhD project. So he has already reminded us the several farm to processing parameters that we have to note down, like you said, in order to really track down what is causing this variety being different from the other one. So very good point.
Anyone else?
Am I still not answering people? I got too excited. I tend to branch out sometimes.
I think John just stepped out, but or is planning to. The hemp project that seems kind of different. Is that food related or more like industry fiber, or is it a little bit of everything?
So we currently have two entities that we talk to. So the hemp flower infused safflower oil, that is an edible oil. John is the person that is leading, coordinating this project. So I work with Laura from the Hamilton Home Farmers Market. She's an organic grower that has been developing this by adding the hemp flower into safflower oil and infuse it. So bring in the hemp flower flavor into the safflower oil. So that's a edible oil application. And the other entity that I have been talking to, they have primarily focused on edible oil, and they are also interested in using their byproduct of, because you crush the oil from the hemp seed and there's the hemp meal. So they're interested in how they can upcycle their byproducts and make into, again, the human food, because they know that the hemp meal is still very nutritious in terms of protein, fiber, and antioxidants. So far, most of the application have been on food.
Do you, I can envision the lab and what you're doing being growing in popularity and maybe in demand for food products. I know the next governor administration has said that value-added food production or value-added business development in Montana is a priority. Do you see what you do growing and expanding and maybe getting into, you sort of mentioned it a little bit in your presentation, having more collaboration with, say, the business school or the chemical engineering department, or just some of these other entities where their expertise would be needed for commercializing, let's say, industrial fiber for hemp, or like you said, just other food production where it's going to scale even beyond what your capacity is. Do you have a vision for that, or conversations around that at all?
I don't have the guts to say it's a vision, but I have a dream on that. So because the day that I arrived at Montana, I already got, every week I got people call me and say that, can you do this for me? So right now our capacity is maxed. We only have, like I said, 3 master's students, 2 PhD students, and there's this, we have to constantly turn down people's requests because we don't have staffing, we don't have research or production capacity. So there has been some discussion in the MSU about how there has been some meeting even about different programs, including, like you said, the business program and the engineering program and the agriculture program and my program, to partner together to offer a more comprehensive integrated service for support the value-added industry of Montana. So my hope is that in 5 to 10 years, we can establish the Montana State University Food Innovation Center that not only has the small sensory R&D kitchen that we're playing with, it's just the benchtop recipe. My hope is that we can have a pilot plan to test those benchtop recipes and therefore really integrate our service, not only just recipe recommendation and very small scale, but also more pilot and larger scale. Right now we have regional resources like the Mission Mountain Food Enterprise Center is a great partner for my students to learn the skill that is beyond the benchtop. And if we can partner with them so that we can form regional alliance that they are helping the Bitterroot Valley area with the value-added ag endeavors, and we are helping the Bozeman area, I can see that really can have some benefits for our local agriculture economy.
Yeah, I come at it a little bit from, I think there's strong interest in, I don't know if I can pick a really good example of, if we have the strengths, I'll pick on lentils, but it could be other examples of, we know we've got something that's unique to our region and it's high quality that we can develop a value-added industry around. Then you're going at it from, we know there's a market for this thing that we have and we can develop it if we put these assets together, versus the other way, which is someone tinkering and hoping, oh, well, now I have this thing, but now I have to figure out the market. So you can kind of come at it from the other way. We know breakfast cereal is a huge market.
Yeah.
Does Montana have what it takes to capture some of that market? And you could probably find other examples of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, and things like that. So yeah, that's really great. That's really great. Yeah, other thoughts? It's just about 4. Sorry.
I had
just
one.
The next few minutes. Go ahead.
Is there time for one more question?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious, Wan Yuan, if I loved the sort of sustainable food product development as the vision. And I'm curious, there is increased interest in indigenous foods for a lot of different reasons at this point. And I'm curious if you have any guidance or policies in place or ways to guide whomever might wander into your lab seeking to create some sort of a pemmican knockoff or God knows what to avoid cultural appropriation. I know there's many people on this call may be familiar with the whole Tonka bar, epic bar discussion, but I'm just curious if you have any guiding documents around that.
Thank you so much for asking this question. This is part of our struggle. In 2018, when we first reached out to the native fish keepers, the entire process was very puzzling. I want my students to all, first of all, sign non-disclosure agreement to state that unless the tribal members consent on anything, the students don't own the product. The students have to give the product to the tribe. They're here just simply to learn. They're experimenting, play with the recipe, that's fine. They get their food tradition, food memories, and culinary preference, and the culinary suggestions. These still belong to the tribe. When I talk to MSU legal office about my students, we are going to voluntarily provide a non-disclosure agreement. We then found out that MSU does not have any guideline in terms of governing, regulating the intellectual property when it comes to partnering with tribal communities. So they took tribal communities as any other business entity. The way that they treat them is their business. So we're doing business. And if you use our MSU resources, I'm going to take as much possible as the in terms of patent. So we actually have one active undergraduate research with the IRAEA, basically Research and Economic Policy Institute, that to look at what kind of policy guideline has to be implemented to guide the intellectual property management between MSU and tribal nation partnership on agriculture and innovation. And so we reach out to the Salish Kootenai tribal attorney, the institution review board, and people that are around this area of legal and research conduct. And then they express us, this is extremely important. Nobody has done that before. And now you're bringing your student to our land to do product development. We appreciate that you do that piece of regulatory study first, without instead of just jumping in and say, we're going to do things. And although I am allowed by MSU to do all these, I would rather, we have that policy instated. So any of my students working on the tribal related project, they first of all have to voluntarily provide a non-disclosure agreement. And we're only publishing the data that the tribal members approve. So like, for example, I had a publication on the lake trout study, and I had the tribal councilwoman review my manuscript, and also native fish keepers review my manuscript before we publish it.
Thank you.
That was a great question. Yeah. Really
Thank you for the question.
Important. So we're just a little bit past 4. Any last remarks from anybody? Last questions in the next few minutes?
I just want to say thank you again for inviting me. And this is a great way for me to present our lab, but also learn a bit more on the various different stakeholders in the ag and economy development. And like I said, that 5 to 10 years is if it is only myself, because I'm only an assistant professor, I need to get my tenure before I can survive and continue. So that's why 5, because 5 years when you get to tenure. But if we can have leaders, people from different area, like you said, from different expertise like chemical engineering or agriculture, and different local regional stakeholders, then I will be more than willing to be a small part of it, to just put my resources there and engage my students so that we can form this alliance and serve offering faster.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Wan Yuan. That was really, really great. And I think everyone knows how to get a hold of you. I did share the website on the chat. And if anything, we might have created more demand for your space or project. And please connect with me at Prospera or others that are on today if you just want to find out who was on the call. I did record it, so I'll make sure I share that with you shortly. And thanks again for your time today.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you very much.